Hey, everybody, welcome back. Devin, OG, original Grognards, sitting down in the Grognards corner. Yeah, I know, that's a lot of Grognards. I wonder what a collection of Grognards are. A gaggle of Grognards? A murder of Grognards? I don't know, I'm going to have to look into that. Anyways, we're stepping into turn 7 of Conquistador, Avalon Hill's game of the Age of Exploration, 1495-1600. This will probably be my last playthrough. I don't think I really need to play through the entire game video recording it. I think everybody's got kind of a good grasp on how the game plays solitaire. And, yeah, I want to move on to something else. So, something we have to look out for on turn 7. I'm going to shift the camera over so people can see this. On turn 7, as we move into turn 7, we get, of course, our conquistadors and explorers, but the first German explorer actually shows up. And if people want to in the multiplayer game, they can bid on him. You know, I could bid on him if I wanted to, but, you know, honestly, I don't need a German explorer. Also, if you'll notice, we've got this R2 right here. All colonists now start producing 2 ducats per turn rather than 1 ducat per turn, which will allow them, if they're in a resource-rich area like the Caribbean or the Deep South, to then double again. So each colonist will now be producing 4. So now we're getting to the point where colonists are self-sustaining. I mean, it costs 2 maintenance for them. Now they produce 2 gold in their own right. So now we're actually to the point where we're going to start making a little bit of money off the colonists rather than having to rely on treasure ships. So, just wanted to point that. And I believe on turn 7, I think you can actually build 1 caravel or 1 carrack in the New World, rather than having to build it in your home ports. You can actually build one of them in one of your ports in the New World. Again, not that that's something I have to worry about or I'm going to do, but just something players do need to be aware of. All right, so what we got? We got the council phase, random events. Okay, 2-3. All right, 2 with a monarch of A is going to give us 35 ducats. It's going to bring us up to 94. It is also going to give us 3 colonists. So I'll pull out 3 colonists. And we'll go ahead and stick them down in the port here, along with our 2 explorers and the 1 conquistador we got this turn. And the random event, let's see, 2-3 is going to be a 10, which is natives resentful of European intrusion. Really? I'm shocked. Shocked, I say. The player must remove 1 of his settlements that has 2 or fewer colonists. He must remove the settlement from an area that has the highest native level of any area in which the player has settlements. If the player has no settlements or all of his settlements have more than 2 colonists, the event is ignored. So they're going to Okay, basically it's going to be the Deep South. In the Caribbean, the native influence has been wiped out. In the Midwest Plateau, they've got colonist level 1, but the Deep South has, or native influence of 1, and the Deep South has native influence of 3, so it's going to be somewhere in there, and we're just going to flat out lose a settlement with 2 or less colonists, and we're going to lose the conquistador that's with them. So the one that was roughly in the Tallahassee area just got overrun, and the natives wiped them all out. It happened. No doubt about that. Alright, so that's initiative determination. Now we have a planning segment. Alright, so we're going to have to send something into the Caribbean to pick up the gold, because we're getting 30 gold from them this turn. So it's going to take, since there's going to be 30 gold there, I need 30 transport worth. So that's going to be a caravel and a carrack. Yeah, caravel and a carrack's going to be 30 gold. So let's take a look at what we have in our European port. So put a caravel and a carrack out. So to be 3 bounds there. We're not going to move around. 3 bounds back, so it's going to be 6 bounds. It's going to cost us 12. 10, 11, 12. All right. I think what we want to do is we want to reestablish in the ruins of the Deep South. I think we're going to go ahead and reaffirm that colony there. We're not going to let that colony just wither and die and get overrun like it was. So we're going to have to put 3 colonists down. So it's going to be a Carrack and a Caravel. And I need to put some more soldiers in there. So let me buy 2 soldiers. 2 soldiers, if I can find 2 soldiers. And a 3rd soldier. Okay, so that's going to take a Caravel, another Caravel, and a Carrack. Okay, we're going to have to, since we're putting down a new port, we're going to need an explorer, and let's go ahead and send a conquistador with them. So we bought 3 soldiers. That's going to be 12 gold just to buy the 3 soldiers. Is there anything else? I don't think we need to send anything more to the Midwest Plateau. Yeah, we got 2, 3, 5. We've got 5 soldiers there. Yeah, that's more than enough. So yeah, I think that's the only expedition we want to do. I don't have any more colonists that we can put down anywhere. So I think that's going to do it for expeditions. Transoceanic movement naval phase. So yeah, we're going to take the Caravel and Carrack that we originally slated. Yeah, Caravel, the original Caravel and Carrack that we originally slated. Head to the Caribbean, to Cuba, so we can pick up all that gold there. Okay, still need to make sure we have the Carracks and Caravels shifting all these colonists over. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 transportations worth. Yeah, and so we're just going to go ahead, put them off the coast, and land these guys in the ruins of the old settlement. And that will be it for Transoceanic. Hemispheric Naval, I didn't pay for any, and I don't want to move any of them, so we don't have to worry about that. Naval Attrition segment. Alright, so we'll go with the first Naval Attrition into the Caribbean. 3 bounds. Honestly, I don't even need to roll for it because there's no colonists or settler or soldiers on the ship, and with 3 bounds, there's no way that I can even lose a ship. So go to the Deep South, which was 4 bounds. Okay, now we can have a chance of actually losing a ship. So it's a 3. It's nothing. All right, so we don't have to worry about losing anything. No naval attrition. Gold segment. All right, so we're back to the gold in the Caribbean, which is going to produce a 15. Let's see if I can find a 15. You'd think I'd be smart enough to hold it out. There we go. Because since they are producing 15 gold, maybe I should hold out a 15 gold every time I toss them back. Roll for depletion, which is going to be a 2 through, what is it? 2 through a 5. We got a 10 or an 11. So they're still producing gold real well. That's the only gold mines I have, because my other gold mine down in the DR has been exhausted. And we don't have the treasure city yet. We haven't wiped out the native influence yet, so we can't start pulling from the treasure city yet. Unfortunately. Then that's going to be it for the gold segment, and the gold's going to get loaded back up onto those ships. Land movement and combat segment. Alright, so we do want to do something with land movement. I do want to take my 1 soldier here, and he's going to march overland and join up with the other settlement that's in this New Orleans place. But we're not really sure we like where the settlement was at. You know what? Let's go ahead and move the settlement a few miles up this river, and not worry about being on this very, very flooded basin, and we have to build the city underneath the sea level. Hey, the Dutch, they're good at doing stuff like that. We're not going to do that. We're going to put the city a few more miles upriver, and where we don't have to build the city under the ocean level, because that's probably going to lead to bad floodings and such in years to come. So we don't want to worry about that. So there's that movement. I think that's all the land movement and combat segment. So native combat segment. All right. So we are going to go ahead and continue fighting in the Midwest Plateau. Continue trying to wipe out the native influence there. Like I said, I've got 5 soldiers there. Yeah, 5 soldiers. And I've got, okay, so combat against natives. We're going to be on the 5 to 6 column. And I have a -1 for, oh, you know what I also had to do? Can't believe I forgot this. I need a new missionary for the Deep South, because I lost the missionary last turn. So what do we got? Oh, okay, we got a peace and loving one. So he's just going to go along. So I forgot to point that out, because Spain needs a missionary in every one of their areas that they have colonists in. If they don't, bad things start to happen. So since I lost my missionary there last turn, I had to send a new one out this turn. Not a big deal. All right, combat against natives. We're on the 5 to 6, and I've got a Conquistador, which gives me a -1 on the dice roll. And pretty much anything, even if I roll a 6, at -1 is going to be a 5, which is going to be wiping out the last native influence. 6. Good thing I got the Conquistador there. -1 is a 5, which wipes out the native influence in Midwest Plateau, which now allows me to start taking the gold out of there, and which is kind of hefty, because that's a 75 gold mine, so 75 gold will be produced there a turn. Yeah, we also don't like what happened in the Deep South last turn with the native uprising wiping out the Tallahassee settlement. So Spain is going to return with all great vengeance and fury and fire and anger and knock out the tribes in the Deep South. How many soldiers have I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4 soldiers. It's going to be on the 3 to 4 table. Now, it's going to be +1 for the Conquistador I have there, but I've got a peace and loving missionary, so it's going to be a -1. So, because the missionary is a +1 peaceful missionary, that actually takes away from my combat against the natives. So it's going to be a straight flat dice roll, 3 to 4. You know what? I don't think so, because I'm going to have... Nah, you know what? We're going to show a little bit of tolerance. We're not going to wipe out those natives. Like, yeah, all right, we get it. We're sorry. We're going to be more peaceful. Why don't you come work our fields for us? We'll even pay you in trinkets. All right. So yeah, okay. That's going to be it for native native combat, native uprising, which is the only uprising we have a possibility of is Deep South. Their influence is a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I got 6 colonists there. Plus 3 natives is a 9. Minus the 5 soldiers I got there is a 4. So there's a potential uprising on a 1, 2, or 3. 3, there's an uprising. And the soldier detachments we have in the area, how many did I say we had? 4. So 4 soldier detachments in the area. Now we do not modify this by Conquistador or Missionary. We got a 5. We got a 2, which is 2 colonists or soldiers. All right, well, we tried the peace and loving aspect. Next turn, we're going to have to become a little bit more violent towards them, I have a feeling. All right, so that's native uprising now. Land attrition, which is basically in every friggin' hex that we have land units in. So 3 + 1 - 1 is going to be 3 for the land attrition. +1 for the Conquistador. So 4 + 1 is a 5 is nothing. This is going to be a 3. -1 for being on the coast, so it's going to be on the 2 column. No modifiers. They're fine. These guys right here that just got wiped out have got attrition of 3, no modifiers, no Conquistador. So straight up roll. 3 is a 2, which is going to be a soldier. No soldier there, so we don't have to worry about losing it. The next one right here is going to be on the 3 column, but it's going to be a +1 for the Conquistador. It's going to be a 2 + 1 is a 3, which is going to be a CS, colonist or a soldier. Ugh. I guess all my dice rolls are starting to come back to haunt me at this point. All right, well, we'll lose a settler. Mainly because I don't feel like breaking down the dice. All right, over in the Caribbean, 2 + 1 -1, so it's going to be on the 2 column. So it's basically going to be a 1 or a 2 for Cuba, which is a 1, which is a colonist. Okay, what's happening? Let's see. This is where all the my bad dice rolls are coming back to haunt me. Down in the DR, same thing. Only on a 1 or 2, another 1. Oh, drop my dice. And lose another colonist. Wonderful. So, let's see. There's a colonist. Okay. Okay, that's going to be it for land attrition. Resource segment. All right, now we're going to be making a little bit more money. So we've got 2 colonists there. They're worth 2 each, so it's going to be 4 gold. They're in a resource-rich area, which is going to double it to, let's see, 2. Yeah, each one's worth 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're in a rich area, so that's going to double it to 8. 8. Okay, and up here, we've got 4 colonists. 1 worked the mine, so that's 3. Which is going to be 6 base, doubled to 12. 11, 12. Okay, in the deep south, we've got 2. So doubled to 4, doubled again to 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. And here in Charlesville, we've got 2, doubled to 4, but they're not in a rich area, so it's just worth 4. And we're up to 100, back up to 102. Actually making some money. I think we started the turn off with, 90 something? Or maybe a little bit more than that. Yeah, a little bit more than that because I forgot about the ducats I made. Final naval phase, transoceanic. All right, so we take the gold fleet from the Caribbean and move it back, and we take the expedition to Tallahassee and move them back. They return to the Spanish holding box. Naval attrition segment, Caribbean. Again, there's no need rolling for it because I can't lose the ships on 3 bounds. On 4 bounds, I can. So, fortunately, I don't have. All right, 2. Is a soldier. We didn't have any soldiers returning, but I didn't lose any ships, and I didn't lose my explorer, which is a good thing. That would be naval attrition, discovery credit, not doing it. Treasury segment. All right, so we got 30 back. We're getting 30 back from the gold mines in the Caribbean, and that's going to be it for turn 7. Yeah, all right. Let's see. Should we do a turn 8? Yeah, there is one last thing I did kind of want to show before I actually quit the game, and that's how to get gold from an inland mine to a port to shift it back to Europe. So, and actually, we're hitting the 19-minute mark, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out, and we'll be right back, and we'll do our 8th and final turn. Alright, so stepping into turn 8. Let's see what we get from turn 8 reinforcements. A couple Conquistadors. We're going to put them in the Spanish property box. Council phase for random events. 3-6. So 3 is going to be 25 ducats. And it's also going to be 4 colonists. Oops. 4 colonists. Put them in the holding box. And random event 3-6 is going to be a 14 7 cities of Sibylla, or Cibola, which actually I've already got. Technically that was the 7 cities of gold, and I've already discovered them, so... But we had the random event, so let's take a look at it. If the player has any land units in California, Rockies, Midwest Plateau, Sonora, or the Aztec, he must begin a quest to find the fabled 7 cities of Cibola, which I've already done. The quest must at some time pass through at least 1 hex in all the previous mentioned areas. All units in the party conducting the quest must start from the same hex. A minimum of 3 soldier detachments must participate, and if the player is Spanish, a conquistador and a missionary must accompany the party. The player may conduct any normal activities during the quest, but the party must have finished within 25 years, 5 game turns, including the current one of the reading of the event. Failure to comply means a loss of 100 victory points at the end of the 5th game turn. Ignore this event on game turns 18 through 20. So, yeah, historically, the 7 cities of Cibola, or the 7 cities of gold, were the fabled Pueblo cities in the Midwestern Plateau. And in our little timeline that we're playing with here, yeah, they existed. I found them. I've conquered it. So I would say, I don't think I need to go looking for it. Had we not been playing with that, then I would have had to have taken an explorer and 3 missionaries, and 3 soldiers and 1 missionary for being Spain, and at least moved through Midwest Plateau, California, Sonora, Aztec Empire, and was there one other one? I think maybe there was one other. There's 4 or 5 territory areas that I have to move through, and if I don't, I lose 100 gold or 100 victory points at the end of 5 turns. There's also another one to try to find El Dorado, which is basically the same thing. Got to have soldiers, so many areas you got to try to move through in so many turns, or you lose a bunch of gold or a bunch of victory points at the end of the turn that you fail. I think El Dorado is 3 turns, but yeah, the 7 cities of gold was 5 turns. Like I said, I've already done it. I'm not worried about victory points, so the whole point is Mood is like, hey, we want you to go find the 7 cities. Oh, you've already found them. Yeah, they weren't a rumor. We found them. All right, so planning segment. Okay, so what do we got? What have we got? Okay, so we're not going to pull any gold out of the Caribbean this turn because there's no profit to it. If there's 30 gold there, it's like every other turn it makes sense to do it, but I can move it out there, pick up the 15 gold, bring it back, but I end up spending like 16 in bounds and maintenance. Not really that good of a deal, of a trade-off. So we're not going to go to the Caribbean. We're not going to be able to pull any gold out of the Midwest Plateau yet, because it's going to take a turn, and the way the turn sequence goes up, I won't be able to load the gold on the ships this turn. So there's no sense sending a real big fleet of units or of ships to get the gold out of the Midwest Plateau, because it's not going to be there this turn. So really, what I've got is reinforcing the Deep South. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 colonists there. Do I want to move into someplace else? I mean, I could move in the Atlantic coast. I could move into the Aztec Empire. But they've got... I don't think... Well, this is going to be the last turn, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. We're just going to reinforce our foothold in Florida. So we're going to take the 4 colonists, and we're going to send them to Florida. How many troopers have I got? I've got 1, 2. Let me buy 2 more soldiers. So that's 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as the ships I need to send. Let's go ahead and send an explorer with them just because, and send a Conquistador with them just because. Actually, it was turn 8, and actually I lost a couple of my explorers at the end of last turn. Let's see, turn 9, turn 10, turn 9, turn 10. Alright, so my guys are good. I don't have any explorers this turn, so I wouldn't have been able to found any colonies anyways. But I do have the Conquistadors, so we're going to go ahead and make that that's the expedition. It's the only expedition I'm putting out this turn. It's going to be 4 bounds there. We're going to move around inside, so it's going to be 5, and then 4 bounds back, so it's going to be a grand total of 9 for 18. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 18 gold. And yeah, that's going to be it for planning. That's pretty much the only expedition we got going. Transoceanic Naval. All right, so we're going to go ahead. And we're going to go, and we're going to first stop off in Tallahassee, and we're going to drop 2 colonists off. Yeah, we're going to drop 2 colonists off there. And that's going to be it for Transoceanic. Now, Hemispheric, we're going to go ahead, 1, 2, move into the uprivered new port of New Orleans. Drop off the 2 soldiers and the 2 colonists. And, whoops. And my Conquistador that I sent up there. Alright, so naval attrition. Alright, these guys moved 5 bounds, so chances are on the naval attrition of 5 bounds, I'm going to lose something. Unless I get lucky. Which has kind of been happening. Alright, 2 is going to be a soldier. So, even though I've already offloaded them, technically because of that, since I lost the soldier, it's considered to have happened in transit. So, I have to take them off when they get there. So, lost 1 soldier. Okay. Okay, land phase, gold segment. All right, now here's the big one. The treasure city works like a gold mine. In the gold segment, we get its value, which is 75, which is huge. Do we have a 70? Yeah, we do have a 75. All right, we got the 75 right there. But we have to roll for depletion, just like any other gold mine. And since this is the 75 production gold mine or fortune city, well, they all deplete on a 2 through 5. So, of course. All right, maybe the 7 cities of gold were only 3.5 cities of gold. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that because that is now depleted. That is distressing. I was hoping to get many more turns out of it, but we got the 75 gold anyways. And then of course the gold segment down in the Caribbean with the Cuban gold mine will give us 15. Roll for that depletion. 10. Nope, it's still going good. And all right, now land movement and combat segment. Okay, now that's kind of what I wanted to get to. If you have an inland gold mine or a treasure city inland, you have to move the gold to a port. Now, to do that, you just need 1 soldier. Doesn't matter, you know, if you've got 10, 12, whatever. Just requires 1 soldier. 1 soldier can transport all the gold you want. So, and since, you know, now that the 7 cities of gold has been depleted, there's no reason for me to keep all my soldiers there. I've got 3 soldiers there, so it's more than enough to carry it. And they're going to go 1, 2 movement points to move back to Charlesville. Now, next turn, I'll be able to send if I were I continue in the game, would be able to send a boat out there. Now, that 75 gold, you got to remember, a carrack can only hold 25. So that would have to be 3 carracks. However, starting on turn 7 or 8, I can also now start building galleons. big old monstrous warships. They don't even have a combat value. You can't even get into combat with them. Now, they can carry an unlimited amount of gold. They cost 40 gold to produce, and it's 10 gold maintenance upkeep. So you really don't want to pull them until you get one of the treasure cities and are shifting back vast quantities of gold. That's what I would probably do if I was continuing the game. So just the way the turn sequence goes, I could have moved ships here, but you only load gold in the gold segment. So in this segment, I got the gold from the treasure city. Then I moved back, but I can't load it up because you can only load up gold during the gold segment. So I wouldn't. That's why I didn't bother to send any ships out there. But yeah, that's land movement. So like I said, had I not depleted the 7 cities of gold, or the 3.5 cities of gold, we're calling it now, I would have kept the 2 troops there. And then I would have just started cycling one soldier back and forth in, quote unquote caravans of supplies and gold from looting the cities, the 7 cities, back to the coast. But not something I have to worry about now. Native combat segment, yeah, it's 2 turns in a row. The natives have decided they want to get persnippety with me. Not that I blame them. So we got 1 soldier there. 3 soldiers. So, 3 soldiers. It's going to be +1 for the Conquistador, -1 for the Peace and Love Missionary. So, what do we got? It's going to be an even roll. 5. End up losing another soldier. Oh my god. I have a feeling the Deep South is going to be my Vietnam of the era. Alright. So, that's native combat. Now, we have native uprising, which is going to be just as bad, I have a feeling. We got 3 native influence in there, plus the number of colonists. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, minus the 2 troopers I have in there. So there is going to be an uprising. There's no doubt about that. And there's only 2 soldiers in the area. 4 is going to be 2 more colonists or soldiers. Well, let's wipe out 2 colonists from the Tallahassee area. Alright, yeah, that's native uprising, land attrition. Yeah, I should probably go through. Now, what if I were to continue playing, these 5 soldiers that are over here, since I have no reason to keep them in the Midwest Plateau anymore, they would just shift over to the Deep South. I just physically march them next turn rather than trying to load them on boats. But I just march them overland, and they'd take up native suppression duties in the Deep South. Yeah, because I don't really need them. I'd probably leave 1 or 2 behind in the Midwest Plateau, or well, probably 1 behind because I've only got like 1 or 2 in the Caribbean just holding it down, since I've taken care of the native influence in those areas. Land attrition segment. Alright. 3. No modifiers. +1 on the dice roll for the Conquistador. So this is for Charlesville. 5. -1 is a 4. Or +1 is a 6, which is nothing. The Deep South attrition is a 3. -1 for being on the coast, so it's 2. +1 for the Conquistador. 6 is nothing. The next one at the Tallahassee area. 3 +1 is 4, nothing. The Caribbean is going to be 2 +1 -1. Did I do that wrong? I think I did that wrong. Oh, the dice roll doesn't make that much of a difference. No Conquistador there, so on the 2 column there is a 6, nothing, and down the DR is a 6, nothing. Yay! Alright. Resource segment. So, again, we've already moved past turn 7. Turn 8, colonists are still worth 2. So we've got 2 colonists there. So they're going to be worth 4, doubled to 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here we have 4 colonists. One of them was working the mine, so 3 is 6, doubled to 12. And in the Deep South, we've got 1, 2. So that's going to be 4. Because that's... Oh, nope, it's going to be 8 because the Deep South is a rich area. What have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be 8. It's going to be 16. 6. And then over in the Midwest Plateau, we've got 2 colonists for a grand total of 4 because Midwest Plateau is not rich. All right, transoceanic naval segment. These guys will return home. And the Gold Fleet. Oh, there is no Gold Fleet. I didn't have a Gold Fleet. That was the only expedition I had. Okay, attrition segment. It's 4 bound, so I have to roll 4 because there is a chance of losing a ship on a 4 bound or better. 1, nope, we're fine. That actually would have been, under normal conditions, would have been a colonist and a conquistador or explorer. There were no conquistadors or explorers on that on that return expedition, so no casualties there. Discovery credit, treasury segment, no treasury because I don't have any gold to put in, and maintenance. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm sitting at 177. I've got enough to cover maintenance. So that, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, is Conquistador. And like I said, the solitaire gets a little bit more, can be a little bit more frustrating if you're trying to go for the 4,500 victory points to quote-unquote win the game, or if you're playing with someone else, as someone else, be it England or Portugal or France, where you don't have these vast amounts of conquistadors and explorers to play with. Now, England gets them later in the game, but really in the early game they don't get much at all. So yeah, that's it. Probably be a week before I get around to getting the next set of videos out, because I already know what I want to have in mind for the next game we're going to play. I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. I seem to say that every other couple videos. Going to go out and try a miniatures game. Lacquered Coffins. It's an air-to-air combat game. I kind of know the designer, so I said I would go ahead and pimp his game out for him on the channel and play it. But yeah, that's the next thing we're going to get into, and we'll get into that next time. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms in the comment section. I'll see everybody next time. See ya!